if that's true, basically.
Okay.
Well, it's saying we're live, but let's wait for a few.
It says up in the corner.
Minutes.
We've been for 5 seconds now.
Yeah.
Let's see if we are waiting for our technical guru, confirmation.
Yes, we are in fact live.
Okay.
Fantastic. Our first ever live.
Yeah.
Let's hope
Am
there
I
are
the first?
many more. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're the first one. Yeah.
You are absolutely our first
Okay.
guest in our
That makes
first
it even
live.
bigger.
Mhm.
We
No
really
pressure.
Okay.
We
No,
just
none
want
at all.
Live.
Am I the first?
Many more. Oh,
Yeah.
you're the first one.
Well, I'm going to take care of this.
Okay,
don't worry.
someone has got the
Yeah.
feed on.
It's nobody. It wasn't me or anything.
There it is.
Oh,
Okay.
brilliant. So, do we know if we got some people joining in?
Yeah, and I think they will be joining it in for a minute or two more, so we'll give them
Yeah.
some time before we actually start.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
also have some dogs joining in, always lovely to hear.
Yeah.
So
You're
yeah,
our first guest, Jonas. We already have some ideas, to continue the series of lives, but we don't want to put any announcements yet because we are busy, especially this month. So, yeah, there is a
Hi,
lot of things going
Santos.
on.
Santos.
Santos.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, as Yuva was saying, we're pretty busy this month. We like
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I imagine. I can imagine that. So
Is
Yeah.
the AGM coming up with all the workshops?
Yeah, we will say
Oh,
a few
yeah.
things about this, I hope, in the end of the live, about
Yeah.
the symposium, the summit. Yeah, it's going to be great. Okay, do you think we can start as a few people are joining in?
Yeah, I think we're good to go. Just let's
Okay.
say hi to Nuria. Hi,
Hello,
Nuria.
Nuria.
Hello, Nuria.
We're happy to see you here. And now I think we can start.
Okay. So a few weeks ago or month, I can't remember when it was, Jonas, we had a really nice conversation. You interviewed me for your podcast, Pongamos que hablo de perros. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you contacted me because you wanted to talk about Smiling Leash, and you had a really nice story to tell. So I spoke with my colleagues, Luba and Ena, and we thought that it would be really nice to have you here and ask you a few questions too. So thank you very much for being here.
Okay.
And
No.
we have
Thank you.
We have lots of it's okay. We have lots of people in common with common interests to Smiling Leash, you and us. And first, how did you hear about Smiling Leash?
Well, for me, it was that. I mean, I think I don't know if it was. I think it was on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I can't. To be honest, I can't really remember. But I think it was on Facebook that I saw someone, and I saw. I mean, I saw the hashtag. I saw the Smiling Leash hashtag on the post, and I thought, "What's that?" And I think it was that. So I clicked on the hashtag, and that then I obviously found you. So and so I started following you guys straight away, and because I thought, okay. Just I mean, that we said that, Letty, when I was talking to you, that just the name Smiling Leash says it all, and that it's just that leave the leash loose, you know what I mean? So
yeah, it's nice to hear that the hashtag works.
I think it was that. Yeah.
Okay, because when you called me, I didn't know you. You didn't know me, and it was how can we have an interview? And I was like, okay, why not? So it was great. And in that conversation, you told me that you became part of the PDT, which the three of us are also members of the PDT. And how was it that you came across the PDT? I know it, but the rest of the people don't know it. So I think it's a great story to tell.
Well, I was on a seminar in Madrid about Well, whatever. It wasn't
Not
especially on nose work. No, it wasn't.
Okay.
It was not on nose work really, but obviously I was interested in that, and the seminar was held by Anneliel Kvam,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
and so I was on that seminar, and we in some pause or break or whatever it was. I was since I speak Swedish and Anneliel is Norwegian. I went up to her and I said, "Hey, hur är det?" So she turned around and said, "Hey," like that, and so we obviously started talking. And then I'm the kind of person I can't shut up, so I'm always interrupting on seminars, and I'm always coming in with my point of view of stuff and whatever. And it turned out that most of it was in the liking of Anneliel. So she basically suggested on one, like we were just chatting away, and said if I've heard of the PDT, and I said I hadn't. So she didn't tell me to join or anything like that. She just basically made me look into it out of interest. So I did, and I found it interesting, and I found out that this is my boat, and that is going in the same direction I want to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's something I found hard sometimes.
You said something very interesting to me, that you thought there was nobody out there with the same values that you have regarding dogs. That's what you said to me.
That's what I meant. That I found that boat that is going in the same direction. You know what I mean? Because I didn't really know. I found it hard to find that, even if I didn't even really look. You know what I mean? Because I was living in my own little bubble, sort of. Because in this area where I am, it's very much towards activating the dog and a lot of training. I don't even call myself, that's the thing with PDTE, the T in PDTE. I don't even consider myself a dog trainer, really, to be honest, because I hardly train dogs at all. What I try to do is show them the way.
Yeah. Can you tell us more about the work that you do, how you're working with dogs? Because for people who don't know, PDT is an organization for people who work with dogs, and is really with very strong ethics. So the code of ethics that the organization has is very much oriented towards dogs' well-being. So that's why we are really promoting dogs' well-being as a first thing for us. So, Jonas, if you can tell us what is your work that you're doing with dogs, and in where you live in Valencia.
What it is, I think that the main point of view is that you put the dog in the center. It's not about what I want out of the dog. It's taking into consideration what the dog wants to do a lot of the time. And especially I don't disagree with people that, if you put it that way, train a dog for a purpose. I'm not really fond of people training a dog for a purpose that only means I get a sort of a little medal put on my chest and I can put up a photograph on Facebook. That is not what I mean with a purpose. A purpose for me is that you train a dog to do a special kind of work. Right. Because you got to keep in mind that we have to get a dog to do what I want the dog to do. I have to just shove out the door any consideration the dog might have on what the dog wants to do. I mean, I can understand that if you have a blind leading dog, that you can't have a dog leading a blind that all of a sudden rushes around after a cat. That is obvious. obviously a thing. So in that case, I can understand why we train the dog. But if we have competition obedience training, for an example, I don't think it's worth it to completely shut down a dog and have the dog living a really shitty life. Sorry for the word, but just because I want to compete in something.
Yeah.
And what you
it's about
do
the
is basically you convert yourself into a pole jumper, and the dog is the pole.
Right.
Well, yeah, but no, I don't agree on that one. Now, I don't want to go into the debate. I know we are not going to have a debate about it here, but that is what I found. That is what I found on the PDTE, that you put the dog in the center of it all. That means that we don't use any methods that is harm for the dog. I mean, and sorry, but even using sausages on positive reinforcement can be harmful for a dog.
We agree.
So that's another debate we've got. If positive training sometimes is definitely not positive training, but that's another thing. That is the issue. You do not harm the dog. You put the dog in the center of it all. You don't use any tools that can harm the dog. You let the dog choose. You give the dog choice. You don't really have to activate a dog that much, to be honest, because you have to really just put into consideration that just taking the dog for a walk and letting the dog do what he wants to do during the walk is enough of activity. I mean, you don't have to activate the dog more than that, really. There's no need to throw a ball 25 times in 10 minutes. We don't have to do all that. And it's to be honest, it's living with a dog in your household is so much easier than we have been told the last 25 years. I mean, Santos, our partner up in northern Spain, with near next door to Letty, he said something in Facebook that I'm a big fan of that statement, and that is just absolutely fabulous. And that is, he turned around one day and he said, I've found out that the less I teach my dog, the more he learns on his own. And that's the essence of it all.
Yes.
I mean,
Jonas, can you tell
So,
the
yeah.
viewers something? You mentioned choices, and of course here you'll find nothing but agreement that choices are very important for dogs. But one thing that I think a lot of people get scared of is when we say give the dog a choice, give the dog the opportunity to decide what to do. They're afraid of, I don't know, chaos or something bad happening, something dangerous happening. Why is choice important, and how do we do that in a good way to give our dogs choices in daily life?
I think, first of all, we have to realize that the dogs are not as stupid as we've been thinking they are. That's one of the points. That's the first one, I would say. And the second one is they don't want to be stupid either. So if they have a choice to be stupid or be responsible, if you want to put it that way, they would probably use being responsible. They would choose that. Now, the only thing we have to do, and now we're going into the whole relation part of it all, that to me, we base the whole living with our dog on the relation we have with the dog. And that relation has to be built on trust. Now, and that has to start with us. First, we have to trust ourselves, okay? But we don't have to go into the human psychology of it all. But we have to trust the dog, and I have to show my dog that I'm trusting him. Because if I don't do that, he will definitely not trust himself, and that means he won't trust me. So it's building the circle of trust, if you want to call it that. And how can I tell my dog that I trust him? That is something I have to do pretty early. And if I can do that with a puppy, that means I let the puppy loose. In a secure area, I let him loose. And I don't ever call him. I let the dog do whatever he wants to do as a puppy. Easy enough. The only thing I do is I just walk slowly in some direction. And the dog, because when it's a puppy, he's a lot more afraid of losing you than you are losing him.
Oh, yes.
So he will stay with you. He will, from the very start, learn to control the situation on his own. And if he is in control, he or she, I'm sorry about this, but I don't like to call the dog it. So I've just chosen to be called the masculine one. It's nothing else to do with it. So he wants to be with you, okay? And that starts even from that point of view. And you don't ever call him. If he goes away too far, whatever, you just stop and you keep silent. So he can't hear you no more. And when he can't hear you, he starts looking for you. And he wants to find out, why have you stopped? So he comes around out of his own interest to you. So what I've said as well, you can even call it, if you want to, a silent recall. I don't train my dog's recall. The only thing I do is I go out, I let them loose when they can be loose. I don't.
When it's safe.
That's another thing what Letty and I was talking about as well. I think we put it up. Yes, up to me, the leash has got three functions. One is for the dog's security. I don't let the dog loose if I can't, because there's a security risk. He might get injured or whatever it is. I don't let him loose.
Yeah.
The second reason is for social responsibility. Respect for our environment or people around us. So, I mean, there are people that has actually got dog phobia. You got children, you got whatever. And I don't let my dog loose if there's other people and dogs around. Because I don't know how that can go into whatever they are doing. And third is out of training the dog. Now, if it's not a puppy and I have an adult dog that I want to be able to let loose, well, you use a long leash in the start. But that doesn't mean that you recall the dog all the time and that you pull him and whatever. No, you take him out where he can be basically on a very long leash. It could be 25 meters when you're training this. And what you do is you just let the dog realize that I'm trusting you. I'm giving you this freedom. But that freedom comes with responsibility. So that means you have to be in control, because I'm not. And they actually learn this. I've seen it. I've observed that with mine. And they're hunting dogs. And they're off in the mountains, and they can be gone completely. I haven't seen them for a while, and I haven't got a clue where they are. And I just all of a sudden feel, and yes, I want to be in control of the situation. I'm not saying I don't want to, okay? That's not what it is. But I'm not calling them. I'm just stopping. And it takes less time than you can imagine. And I've got four, because I'm out with four usually. And the four of them are just around me.
So that's wonderful.
In less time than you can imagine.
You talked about relationships and building trust, and you mentioned your dogs. So can you tell us a bit more about your dogs, how they came to you, what they're like, a bit about their stories?
I live in a 10-dog household.
That's a lot of dogs. Sounds fun.
Yeah. It is, most of the time it's fun, yes. Now, that's another thing. Inside the four walls of the house, it's relax and food. There's no playing inside, because if I let these play inside, I've got 10 dogs running around. It won't work. So they know very well that this is relax and food. That's it, inside. obviously that means I got to give them enough play and whatever it is, and enough to get the steam off outside. But that's it. And it comes from 3 Chihuahuas, 2 Italian Greyhounds, one little mix. I would think it could be some sort of a what's that called? A pincher, a little one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I've got another mix that he's my Pocho. He's a sniffer, that I call it. He's the one that he's got his nose in the ground all the time. And then I've got a mix between a Galgo, which is the Spanish Greyhound, the Galgo, a Galgo mother and a father of some sort. And then I've got two Galgos. I mean, real Spanish Galgos. How they came into my life? Well, they, except the two Chihuahuas are all rescues. And if I want to talk about dogs, I'm basically working with 4 of them. I'm working with the 4 big ones, if you want to call it that way. Which is, if you want to call it, officially, they're in my name, so they're my dogs. The household has got other dogs, but them 4 dogs are my dogs. So that's the 4 dogs I'm working with. I've actually got one of the Galgos. It's Gandul, the white one. You can probably see, that's the one you probably see the most of on my feeds, whatever.
Yeah.
And he's even my work partner. He is very, very socially skilled dog. He's got an amazing social skill with other dogs. He's a very, very good negotiator. And that is another thing that I actually took up with Annelille on the seminar there, that I've learned as well, is that I have to observe very, very well when I'm working with him and the other dogs. I have to observe as much him as I'm observing the dog I'm so to speak helping with him, because I've come to learn that I can wear him out. He can be very, very tired role. And that is another thing. One of the first things I tell people when we're talking reading our dogs is that the first thing I think you have to learn is when your dog is asking you to stop. When your dog is asking you not to go to the dog park, when your dog is telling you he's had enough, turn around, go home, please, you know what I mean? So we have to be able to read that. And so, because there we come into the trust. If I don't consider what my dog is telling me, there's no way he can trust me. And that is no way we can have a sound relationship.
Right.
So that is one of the first things I try to teach people.
This has 2 parts then. One is learning how to understand canine communication, and the second is to react to your dog appropriately, to actually take your dog seriously, and when he's asking you for something.
Yeah, exactly.
Which
I think, to be honest, I think that I think it's very difficult for us when we're talking canine communication all the way, even when we're talking calming signals. When before we even heard of that, we didn't even see it. So when we got dog handlers that don't know about it, and you start telling them, like, look at your dog there, he's telling you this and that, and what, you know what I mean? We've been there. It takes a while for them, for people to be able to observe that.
Long time.
So I try to put the emphasis on when the dog is talking to you. as the handler
Mm-hmm.
to be the first and most important part. Because if your dog, say, if you're walking toward, I had an example just the other week. They were talking about, like, so we were walking. I said, "What do you usually do?" So, yeah, we usually go to the dog park over there. Now, this is obviously something that handler didn't see, but I could see that the dog was trying to tell it, "I don't want to go to that dog park."
Mm-hmm.
At least 3 times before we got there.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, you can see when you're walking there, and all of a sudden the dog is turning around and is trying to get your eye. Hey, look at me. It's that easy, to be honest. And if the dog is doing that, like, stop. See if the dog is trying to walk in another direction. Whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just be comprehensive.
Yeah. And
Take in consideration what your dog might want to do.
Yeah. Sorry. And I was saying that's why we are talking about choices so often, is because if we just give them the choice, if we just listen to them, we'll see that many things that we are trying to do with them actually not fit for them. For example, really crazy play in the dog park can be too stressful, can be just too much. So to really understand our dogs, we have to give them choice. They show us very well what actually they want to do, what is good for them. And when we, give them the choice, when we provide, the things that are good for them, we have very calm, confident dogs around us. We have really happy dogs. So I think that should be our end goal always, to have, a dog that's happy, that's able to communicate with us. And, it's easier to live with such dogs, other than, we don't have to tire them out. We don't have to do crazy exercise with them. And it's just nice to live with them.
By the way, everyone,
like I said from the start, it's so much easier than we think.
Yeah.
Everyone who's watching now, if you have comments that are very lovely, and I'm sure Jonas will have a great time reading them afterwards. Everyone's happy to hear what they're hearing from you. If you have any questions, do put them in the comments and we will ask Jonas. So if you want his advice or his opinion on anything, go ahead and put it in a comment. While we're waiting for those, I would like to know a bit about what the situation is with leash walking in your part of the world. So do you see people walking their dogs on a long Okay, this told me a lot, but still I'm going to finish the question. Do you see dogs wearing good, proper harnesses or not? What's the situation in your region?
The ones that is going, the dogs that are coming on group walks that I organize are getting more and more into that. Yes, that is another thing that I'm not trying to be too harsh when I tell people. And it's like, say, change from a collar to harness, and a well-fitting harness as well, which is another thing that we have to state. I don't have to tell the brand, but you got one harness that is very popular. That is very, very popular because you can change the name on the side of it and put the dog's name, or put I'm the greatest, or Batman, or whatever you want on it. And that's so funny and it's so nice. And then it's very, very easy to put on because you only have one clip on it. You just strap it over the head and like that. But that is a harness that is laying over the front of the shoulders, and that is hindering the front train to move correctly. So that is definitely not a harness that I can recommend. But what I'm saying from a collar to harness, what I'm telling people about, I'm just saying that there is evidence now that a collar, even if it's no pressure on it, you know what I mean, it's just there and it's moving around on the neck, can, and this is the point, can provoke long-term illness or whatever. We're talking hypothyroidism and things like that.
Right.
So, and just to have something on your dog that can provoke illness is enough for me to change to something that does not provoke that. Right. So I'm not saying that it 100% will. I'm just saying that it can, and that is enough. And then sometimes I tell people, okay, you know, sometimes we see small children walking around with some sort of a harness and a little leash because the parents are like controlling it. Because, you know what I mean? We can see that, and we find that rather cute. Hey, look at that. That's nice. That's cute. They've got a harness on the kid and the leash, you know. Oh, yeah, fine. That means like you can like let him run around. Oh, yeah. It wouldn't be that much fun if there was a collar around the neck on the kid.
That's true.
And so I'm like sort of telling people like just visualize that. And so, oh yeah, right, okay. Then you got someone say, oh, you can't compare a dog with a child. So no, yeah, okay, fine. Why not? Why not?
Why not?
To tell you how it looks in my area around here, I would say that I see someone with just having a 2 meters long leash, and if it's loose in a little way, it's 1 in 20. If I think it's even less, to be honest.
And as opposed to that,
so,
what would you like to see in your area? How would you like?
What I would like to see?
Yeah.
I would like to see people understanding that. I'm nearly getting emotional now. Understanding that. How shall I put this? It's not me. I'm not taking the dog for a walk for me. If you know what I mean. I mean, obviously, I'm taking the dog for a walk for the dog. So
yeah,
how can it be that I'm not taking into consideration what the dog feels and what the dog wants to do and what the dog needs, if the whole purpose for me walking out the door is for the dog?
Yeah.
So that's something that we just have to get into our head. That it's not me. Forget me, and put your emphasis on the dog.
That's the problem, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, because
a lot of people get a dog to, I'm just gonna start exercising and going out, and and it's for them. It's not for the dog what they're doing.
Yeah. And or if I'm not doing it for having a dog to do exercise with, it's for companion, and obviously it's the dog companioning me. It's not me companioning the dog. You know what I mean? That's not the reason I'm taking a dog. But it's still, Letty, it's the reason I'm taking the dog out the door is for the dog. It's not for me.
Yeah, I completely
It makes
agree.
no difference if it's a companion dog or if it's a work dog or whatever it is. So if the reason for me to walk out the door with a dog, well, why not think about the dog? It's just, sometimes I just can't comprehend it. It's just, so, and once people understand that, then we can take into consideration communication, relation, trust, whatever it is. And that means that I can walk my dog on the loose leash and he can be 5 meters away from me. And if there's any other dog coming around the corner, whatever, that means my dog is obviously straight away, he's going to turn into me sort of, and he's going to tell me what way he wants to walk or whatever. And I'm going to follow him. Right. And we've got, it's how can your dog trust you if when meeting another dog, he's trying desperately to tell you, I don't want to meet that dog, and we're still pulling him right into the face of the other dog. How can your dog trust you if you're doing that over and over and over again? And how can you build a relationship with, how can you think that your dog, if you then let it loose on the mountainside and the dog goes boom and disappears and you're surprised? I mean, sorry, I would run away as well.
Somebody saying in the comments, relationship with your dog is the most important thing. And
hi, Laura.
Of course. Of course. I mean, was it Laura saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Figures. Yeah, and the relationship with your dog has to be built on trust. Otherwise, you can't have a relationship. And any relationship we've got as well, with me and my wife, for an example, I mean, we can't have a relationship based on me deciding 100% of whatever we are doing. And I'm just telling her, now we're going to go here and we're going to turn this corner. And now you're going to run 3 times around that tree, you know, whatever. But that is not a relation you can build on. It's completely impossible.
Yeah. And coming to that, sorry, when you were talking about trust in the beginning a bit more, you were talking about how you are working, having your dogs first on a long lead and then coming to no leash. And I think that's very well fitting into what you're saying. You have to build the relationship, and we want to show the video to people that you've sent to us, where you're working with a dog and from a long leash to no leash.
Yeah. I should tell you that is with Pocho. He's a dog that he's the one I'm working the most with in my home. He came here to the house when he was very, very little, and it was way too early. So he's still got some scars from that, and that is something I never ever can take away. But this is if you're putting the sound on, you can hear him yelping.
Yeah, I think we can't put the sound on, but yeah.
Okay.
You can.
But he's actually even yelping, and what it is, he's overexcited. He is over emotional. He's got basically no cognition, and that means if I let him loose here, in this state, he's not enjoying the walk. It would even be in some sense that I let him loose and I walk around and he's just running around crazy. And then we go back into the car and I go home or whatever, and he might even not know that he's been out.
Mm-hmm.
So when he's in this state, emotional state, I have to help him to get out of there. So that means I have to sometimes I have to interrupt what he's doing. There he yelped. It was like a like that. Here he is starting to like sniff, and when a dog starts to sniff, if it's not a sighthound can stand and look into the nothingness forever, but and be completely calm and cognitive. But this kind of a dog, he needs to put his nose in the ground, because that slows everything down and he starts even be cognitive. Here's another 10 minutes in. Now we're 20 minutes in the walk. And now you can see that he's got a different attitude to everything. He's walking with his nose down. He's actually stopping to try to find out, and he's processing things. And here is another 10 minutes in. He was just all of a sudden he stopped. And I'm just curious, why are you stopping? I don't continue walking. He wants to stop, so I stop. Because now I know, now he's cognitive. You can see he's calm. The tail has come down. The ears are relaxed. and this is just 2 bicycles that's coming around. That's why he stopped. But he's processing that information cognitively. And he's got no problem whatsoever with them 2 bikes. If that had been half an hour before, he would run up to them, he would bark, he would jump all over the place. Now he's got no problem whatsoever. And here we come to what I want. I want my dog to be able to walk without the leash. But meaning that he's walking. He's not running around completely crazy. He's walking, he's sniffing, he's being cognitive, he's processing the information he's getting in, and he's learning. He's learning and he's enjoying the time out here. And when we come home again, he can tell the others here that I've just been to a marvelous walk, and I'll tell you what happened. You know what I mean? Because he can, because he remembers. He remembers what has been going on. If I let him loose from the start, in the state he was when this started, I don't even think he would remember anything of it. So that means in the end that kind of a walk is completely useless. So that is what I was trying to tell with this, that sometimes we just have to wait. Look at his tail. He's loose.
Yeah. And I'm sorry that
here he's...
Yeah. And I'm sorry there's been some technical problem with the video, but yeah, you can really see in the end how calm he is and how he, looks at you. He obviously trusts you. He can be near you. And as a Smiling Leash team, we are really interested in this topic. We talk a lot about equipment. We talk a lot about, leash walk. So how leash sometimes can be not only, a tool that helps you to keep your dog secure, help others secure, but also can be really big help for dog that's not feeling very confident. It can be like almost a hand, your hand helping him. It can be really important for the dog to feel more confident and it calm down a little bit, and then he can enjoy his walk even more off leash once he's calmer. So I think that's a really great video.
And
I think that we have to realize as well that sometimes, sorry Letty, but sometimes we have to realize that maybe we shouldn't lead the dog. We should just be there as guidance whenever he needs that.
Yes.
So it's being there for the dog when the dog needs us to be there, and nothing else.
And your walks are very quiet, and we like this. All the videos that we post on our page we're always mentioning how quiet the tutor, the person, the carer is, just letting the dog make decisions, not interrupting the process. I had a little question. You said before that Poncho was really young when he came to your home. How young was he?
I don't really know, but he was a week or 2.
Oh my God.
Oof.
Maybe
he
just
came
a
in
word
a cardboard
about
box with a... Excuse me?
Yeah, just why that's relevant, why it's very important how old a dog is.
Yes.
Of course.
Him or her?
I mean, I've got the other example. I mean, Pocho, the problem with him is that he's got insecurity issues, low self-esteem, and I mean, no self-confidence, basically, and things like that. If you put it on the other end, my Gandul, the white one that I said he's working with me, he was also rescued and taken from his biological mother at a very early state, but was taken by another galgo bitch that took him in as her own and was substitute mother for him and for the other one I've got. But then he had another issue. But and he stayed with her and he was socialized with her, with the mother, if you want to put it that way, adoptive mother.
Yeah.
put into and walked with other dogs and was introduced to other puppies, and they went into the city and they were around, but the mother were always there on his side. And he came to me when he was 4 months old. So he had all that up to when he was 4 months old. And he is one of the most confident dogs I've ever met. And to be honest, I mean, I really do think that if we have to, we are taking them away from the mother way too early. Yeah. Obviously, that is something that the breeders, the dog would be so much. I mean, then, yeah.
A lot of us went to Amber's course this weekend, and Laura was there, Luba was there, I was there, and these topics was raised, and it's such an important fact that we are taking them far too early from their mothers. They need to be with
I think personally, what I've been able to observe with dogs and puppies and whatever during the years is I actually do think that it would be best if we didn't take them away from their mother until at least 4, and say somewhere between 4 and 6 months old. But that doesn't mean that we can't get them to be into our life before that. But keep the mother there. And do all the socialization, getting awareness of the world around them and our environment, but with the mother as support. So they feel secure, they feel safe when they are going through all this. I think that is extremely important. And we're taking the puppies away from their mothers way too early. And that's another reason why we've got all these issues with insecurity, stress, whatever. And to be honest, stress at least in Spain, I would say that there's no question about that. Stress and maybe nutrition, but nutrition is probably a stress factor as well. But stress is definitely the reason why dogs die too early in at least in Spain. I've got no doubt about that.
Yeah, because stress goes then to impact all of the body, the immunity system, all of the organ functions, the brain function. So it's really important that we keep the life for dogs as as good as possible for them. That's why we have to put their well-being at the first place also, because then if we don't, the effects of stress goes to affect everything in them, their health, their their behavior, so many different things.
Oh yes, we give it a lot of other names. We give it intestinal problems, we talk about arthritis, we talk about this and we talk about that and whatever it is, but it's all, if we look back into the dog's history, it's most probably stress that is triggering all these other, like, then physical problems it's going to have. And I was going to say to Letty as well that that is when we go back to observing and understanding your dog.
Well, you know the story about my little dog with arthritis, and everything that we went through until I understood, and I am where I am today thanks to her. But I did a lot of things wrong, of course.
I don't know about the well, you've got a few years as well on your back, Letty, with the dogs and all that, and I've been there for a few years, and the thing is, I made so many mistakes in my day, and
it's part of
but but exactly, that's what I was just going to say. I've learned a lot from the mistakes I made. So
what about your podcast?
I've done a 180 degree.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
where is it going? Where is the podcast going?
Oh, I'm going to be a millionaire.
Remember us.
Oh yeah, no. no. You are participating completely altruistic and just for my well-being. This is going to be one of the most popular podcasts in the world, and I'm going to get so many sponsors and stuff like that, and I'm going to make millions. Now, the aim of the whole reason for it was, I would say that it all started going around in my head about a year ago,
Right.
somewhere like that. Because I'm quite a podcaster. I'm following podcasts. I'm listening a lot to podcasts, scientific ones, whatever, dog training stuff, blah 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 blah. Sometimes I'm debating a lot, walking around talking to myself. So you're absolutely nuts, but. Finding loads and loads of arguments why you should not do things, but that's another thing. But there's quite a lot of podcasts in English, in the English language, with this kind of a concept, that when you have some sort of a host and someone being invited and they just talk for a while about something, a topic or a theme or whatever. But I couldn't find one in Spanish. There might be one, I don't know, but I at that point I couldn't find one. I was trying to look, I was looking around to have some Spanish one to listen to, simple as that, and I couldn't find one. The Spanish podcasts, when we're talking dog training, if we want to call it training, was more a certain dog trainer or a certain behaviorist or whatever, just giving a class, giving a lecture. 15-20 minute lecture here and another one next week or whatever, you know what I mean? And it was rather erratic, and that was not what I don't like that kind of thing anyway. So I just thought, well, I'm just going to have to do one myself. Easy as that. And then I was trying to figure out how I was going to do it. And in the beginning, I was basically thinking, okay, whenever I'm on a seminar somewhere in Spain, since we then were traveling around doing seminars, participating in this and there, that here and there. And I thought, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab people on the seminars and I'm going to sit down on the hotel room and interview people, if you want to talk about that. Then, so I was on the verge of basically starting to do that, and then the COVID came. So that meant that the traveling to seminars went out the door. And I just realized, well, hang on a minute, I can do this online on the Zoom. So I've sent out a few requests to people that I had in mind from the very start. And I said, okay, would you be interested in doing this? And they said, yeah, why not? So I did 5 or 6 interviews with people. So I thought now I can actually throw one out, because now I've got like sort of a buffer with a few interviews. And then it just started rolling. And now I would say, I don't know how many, I've got about 100 people as like registered listeners.
Right. That's great.
It's soon touching 2,000 listens all over, and the curve is just going up and up and up. And I would say that my podcast, the whole idea, well, from the beginning, I was actually even thinking about maybe interviewing and talking to people that is not using the kind of methods and ideas that I follow, and the say PDTE code of ethics or whatever, because I was like saying I could like have a debate for an hour. But then I thought, no, I'm going to leave that out, and I'm just going to concentrate 100% on spreading the word.
Yeah, because also it's about showing the right thing, right? Talking about the right thing, as we are trying to do with the Smiling Leash project and the Slow Dog movement, where you're also involved, by the way, that we know. So yeah, I think it's very, very cool and important to spread the good message.
I mean, it's basically the same thing that you are doing, but with a different concept. And like the slow dog movement. Shout out to Laura and Namit has joined us now as well from India. Yeah. So now we're 3, and we are. Laura has gone absolutely ape with this. So tomorrow we're going to have our first group meeting, obviously online, but actually sit down and talk about what we are going to do with this.
Great.
But it's going in a direction with Facebook, Instagram, and the website, and so blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. And for people who don't know, can you very, very quickly, because we have to wrap it up, but can you quickly give an overview? What is a slow dog movement, and why did you want to get involved in that?
I didn't.
Whoops! What happened?
I had all of a sudden. I talked to Laura and stuff before, and all of a sudden I didn't really mention it. I didn't have it in my mind. I just said to her that I really think it's a brilliant idea. I think it's a absolutely fantastic direction, if you want to put it that way. And I really liked what she was doing. And so all of a sudden she just asked if I wanted to be part of the admin on the Facebook page. And I started, and I said, well, yeah, okay. And that meant that it's gone bigger and it's growing. And so now Namit came in, Namit PC from India. And and now we're having a meeting, and now we're going to plan what we're going to do. And obviously, so we're going up a bit.
Yeah,
we're going to see, but it's all the same thing. It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the PDTE. That's another thing with the podcast. I can't just stay with PDTE people, because in that case I would have to use the same people over and over and over and over again. So I'm trying desperately to find people. Now I'm going to have to go abroad as well. I'm going to have to go to South America to find people that are on the same wavelength and whatever. You know what I mean? So if there's anyone here now, contact me. But Smiling Leash, Slow Dog Movement, PDTE, Pongamos que hablo de perros, and all that. It's all on the same wavelength. It's all the same message. It's spreading the word, getting people to be aware.
Yeah.
There is a different way.
Definitely.
The more we are, the better.
Well, that's a beautiful point to wrap this live up on. Jonas, can you tell the people watching where they can find you and your podcast and everything you do online? We know you have a website.
I would say to go in. Yeah, that one there. JonasCEC.com. The CEC is for Canine Education Center, which was a good thing because it works in Spanish as well. You just turn it round. So the website has got a Spanish page and one English page. On the English page, I've got the PDTE podcast on my website there as well, so you can actually come in and look up listen to that from my website as well. I asked Harriet Alexander for permission to do that, and she said, yeah, brilliant idea, go ahead. On the website you've got all the contact information and that. I am in English. I am on Jonas Canine Education Center on Facebook. It's on Instagram. It's called Jonas CEC _EN for English. On the English language, you got the same thing with ES at the end for the Spanish one. So that's I'm doing all of it in bilingual.
That's great. We have to get the word out there, and thank you so much for coming in, and thank you for all the people who've listened, who commented. We've read every single comment. Thank you for your support.
Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm going to go through them now, then see what I can find.
Yeah.
Definitely. So, and yeah, this was our first live, and thank you again, Jonas, for coming in. We hope to do more in the future, more chats. And
whenever you want.
Please.
Except tomorrow. I can't. Tomorrow I can't.
We'll work around that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonas.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Ta-ta.
Bye, everyone. Have a good evening. Bye. Or morning, wherever you are.
Yeah.